We got a low right now of 27 for the morning. Just saying, it's think about this though. If you didn't have any electricity at the moment, and a lot of people now rely on electricity, whether it be just for electric heat in the home or a heat pump, and any number of issues, you'd be mightily cold. Some people in some parts of the world are dealing with that already. They're dealing with it in Northern California. California is a basket case when it comes to energy issues. First of all, they had the rolling brownouts years ago, and they're what they call them gray outs after Gray Davis, the governor, and then you've got people who are shutting down power right now under the guise of trying to prevent forest fires or wildfires. You got gasoline at $4.18 a gallon on average in the state, which is outrageous. I'm telling you, the place they just and yet they've convinced the people there apparently that eliminating refineries and not having pipelines and that somehow they're going to just keep 1/10 of the country's population nice and toasty warm during the winter, just simply by spinning a few turbines and a couple of solar panels here and there. We're at 7:52. Bill Colley with you on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Mike McFadden, who joins us periodically on the program on many issues because he's got a very lengthy resume. Mike joining us from Fairfield this morning. He has some experience working on some of those refineries, and he's spending some time with us this morning. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Bill. And by the way, it's chilly, 15 degrees up here in Fairfield.
Yeah, but you still get to have lunch at the Wrangler.
Yeah, that left quite the image in your mind, eating at the Wrangler. Isn't that a wonderful place?
It is. Gosh. Yeah. You spent some time on these refineries, as I understand it. I remember you telling me about this in the past.
Yeah, I actually finished up the last of my career doing some massive renovations for both Tesoro Refinery and Shell Refinery in Martinez, California. And having never worked around them before, it was quite enlightening. The theme that kept echoing in my ears when I was there was, don't do anything. The investors don't want to spend any money on anything that's currently working. So we were doing these multi-million-dollar patch jobs, basically Band-Aids, on piping and infrastructure that was 82 years old.
Whoa.
We were working around pipes, 16-inch diameter pipes with 100 psi high-test gasoline flowing through them. And they were paper thin. You couldn't step on them for fear of making a leak, which happened every day. We had a leak almost every day. And they had this real ingenious way of patching it. They come over with basically a big band that they put around the pipe, and that fixed it for that period of time. But the cracking plant, for instance, it's now known as the Golden Eagle Refinery, which is owned by Endeavor, and I understand they're going to be changing the name to Marathon Petroleum pretty soon. They had revenues of $35 billion last year, and they wouldn't spend an extra penny on the systems that made gas. The cracking plant, for instance, that was, like I said, 82 years old, when we drove through that, we had instructions to speed up and get through it as fast as possible because of the dangers of being in that area.
What has led to this mindset in that state? You've got 40 million people. You've got to ensure that they have fuel and electricity, gasoline, heating oil, whatever. But what's led to the mindset that because this is going to become a serious crisis?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the litigation around everything. We were told we had a small spill when we were there, just a small, and it was an old pipe that was being taken out, and it had a little bit of oil in it. And we were told the fines were upwards of $10,000 for a cup of oil leaking. And the reaction time of their crews, they had these crews that came out, just huge truckloads of people with basically rags and towels and cleaning up. And there was a mad panic because California had put so many restrictions on their process. And we tiptoed around that plan. It was I've got to say, one of the most dangerous jobs I did in my career. And the lack of attention to things that were working that clearly could have been updated, fairly inexpensively.
That litigation, of course, it's almost promoted by the people in government because they've catered to those people who do the litigation, the environmentalists, and so they end up being caught between a rock and a hard place. You would have thought after Gray Davis, his successors would have learned a lesson, but they haven't.
Yeah, and we're witnessing that today with PG&E's their blackouts, and I have argued this for quite some time now that I have family that are executives for PG&E that have told me the inside stories, and they said we get sued every time we turn around. We go trim trees that are under the power lines, and we have different cities and entities that block them from doing that. And then when they start a fire, they sue PG&E for the fire. And they've forced their hand here. The only way they can protect against it is to turn the power off. And that's not widely known. People right now are blaming PG&E. Well, you can't just turn off our power. But they're the first ones in line to sue them, basically biting the hand that's feeding them.
I got to tell you, Mike, it's a situation that you hope never reaches the state line here. And I do now understand, of course, much more why so many people who just are fed up with it are packing up and leaving. I got to let you go. I'm getting up on a hard break, but don't be a stranger. We need to have you join us again on a couple of other issues sometime before we get to Thanksgiving.
Sounds good, Bill. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, sir. Mike McFadden joining us this morning from a beautiful downtown Fairfield, just outside of downtown. But it is a great place if you want a bite to eat. I know a lot of people who agree with me on the Wrangler. We've got a break for news. That's coming up in just a moment from Fox and a local update from our own Benito Paesa. We're at 27 at 7:59 on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.